about I'm a Celebrity just for a moment, because Nella Rose got voted out last night. And actually, in her interview with Anton Deck, when she came out, she actually said, it was unusual for me to be with people who don't think like I do.
Yeah.
And she said, so the conversations with Fred Syriacs or with Nigel, thank you, Nigel Farage. I'm looking at another Nigel and I can't remember his name.
The other one.
That actually, she said, I am never with people who don't share my opinion. That's a damning indictment on that generation, isn't it?
That's right. Well, I mean, it may be because she's on social media, but a social media star.
Correct.
I mean, that's the real problem about free speech is that big tech is now running it, and that's where it becomes difficult. So if they're tailoring content towards your social media account, which is based on what you've liked before, all that will do is reinforce what you already believe, and you won't get to see other opinions or whatever. So Nella is an absolute classic there, that she's in that kind of social media world, doesn't get exposed to ideas from outside.
Yeah.
And it goes further. At the moment, that the Google, Facebook, they tend to decide what we are reading.
Yeah.
I mean, newspaper websites, all media websites, if you want to get big numbers, you've got to go along with their algorithm. So they decide what is going to be promoted. And I think that they are probably biggest danger to free speech at the moment.
So there's no more freedom of speech, is there? Because you're being manipulated and fed, nozzled through these avenues. And this is where it's so wrong. And this is where it's affecting our kids.
I wonder if she'll learn from this, that there is a different view out there. And I think the shock of being booted out of the jungle so quickly might do her some good.
Well, she was, if you went to the bookies at the beginning,
she was the favourite.
She was one of the favourites, And I think she's lost quite a few followers because...
Has she?
Yeah, she has. For the two people, like when Fred, I'm not a fan of Fred. I think he's so bossy. His whole cooking thing would drive me. Can you imagine if I was in there with him?
There'd be a clash.
If you're not watching it, basically Josie Gibson from this morning is now the official chef, and Fred cannot let her do it without interfering and telling her how to do it differently.
So adorable, but doesn't matter. Everybody can cook, and everybody should be allowed to experiment. It's not about.
But if I was in the jungle with you, Tonia, I would say, look, you do the cooking.
So
that would be fun.
I'd do the washing up. I'd be happy to do the washing up.
Absolutely.
And you do the cooking.
She wants to have a go, and she's good, and she's good, and stop being so bossy. But so the arguments that Nella had with Fred.
She made some lousy fritters last night.
No, they were terrible, weren't they? Anyway, but the point is that these two arguments that she had with the two allegedly white men are the ones that have lost her followers, which is really interesting.
Really interesting,
Yeah.
I wonder how quickly she protests that she was kicked out because people didn't objected to the fact, perhaps, at her ethnicity.
I mean...
I hope she doesn't, because she was kicked out because she was intensely irritating.
Absolutely.
I rather liked her. I thought in the early days.
Of course you did.
In the early days, but we all did. But then when she had that interaction with Fred Syriacs...
Yeah, they didn't help.
Where he had said something that she had misinterpreted...
Willfully, I think.
Perhaps willfully misinterpreted, caused an argument and didn't talk to him. And it was a really horrible... character, kind of insight into her character, actually, that she was going to be that nasty to him. Really unpleasant. And I think the audience just didn't forgive her from that point onwards, did they?
No.
Absolutely not.